Hi, this is Samuel Lee. I'm a financial advisor who specializes in advising families with disabilities. One question I get quite often from parents is about power of attorney and guardianship, especially when their child with a disability is becoming an adult. Many families aren't quite sure what the difference is or whether guardianship may be needed. Before we begin, I should mention that this video is for general educational purposes only and is not legal advice. Every family situation is different, so if you need legal advice, I would encourage you to speak with a qualified lawyer. I should also mention that for today's video, we're mainly talking about power of attorney and guardianship as they relate to managing financial matters for a person with a disability. We're not discussing personal care decisions such as medical treatment and healthcare decisions, as those are separate topics with their own legal considerations. A simple way to think about it is this. A power of attorney is something a person signs while they still have the mental capacity to make that decision. They're choosing someone they trust to help manage their finances or make decisions on their behalf if needed. Guardianship is a little different. It often comes up when a person is unable to manage their own finances and can't sign a power of attorney themselves. Depending on the situation, there may be an application process to appoint someone to help manage their finance. Another question I hear quite often is, how do I apply for guardianship? I've spoken with a number of lawyers about the process, and the cost can vary depending on the complexity of the situation. I've seen some cases where the legal fees were over $7,000. More recently, I attended a meeting with one of my clients and their lawyer. During that meeting, we went through the entire guardianship application process step by step so the family could better understand what was involved. In that particular case, the lawyer indicated that if they were to handle the entire guardianship application process from start to finish, the legal fees would be approximately $3,000. Of course, every situation is different, and the cost can vary depending on the circumstances. But hiring a lawyer isn't the only option. I've also worked with families who completed much of the paperwork themselves. Along the way, I helped guide them through the process. One of the steps usually involves meeting with a capacity assessor, who will assess whether the person is able to manage their own finances. The goal is to determine whether guardianship is actually needed based on the person's circumstances. For example, I worked with a family where the person with a disability had very limited ability to understand financial matters. In fact, throughout their life, they had difficulty comprehending many day-to-day decisions and concepts. In that situation, the capacity assessment process was relatively straightforward. On the other hand, I've also worked with families where the person with a disability had a much higher level of independence and was able to understand many aspects of daily life and financial decision-making. In those situations, guardianship may not be necessary. It really depends on the individual's specific circumstances. You'll also need to put together a plan explaining how you would manage the person's finances. For example, what savings do they have? What income do they receive? And how would you help manage those finances going forward? You may also be asked to provide information about other family members, such as parents, siblings, or a spouse, and whether they are aware of or support the application. For my existing clients, this is one of the ways I can help. I can help you understand the process, organize the information that's needed, and coordinate with the professionals involved. If needed, I can also attend meetings with the family and their lawyer to go through the guardianship application process together and help ensure everyone understands the steps involved. While I don't provide legal advice, I can often help families navigate the process and understand what may be required. If you're looking for a financial advisor who specializes in advising families with disabilities, feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to learn more about your situation and see how I may be able to help. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.